The weather pattern will start to become active again within the next few days, and the United States could see multiple weather systems from now until next week. And in this video, we will be breaking down the weather models for these upcoming systems. First, we will be starting out with the 0Z GFS weather model here. And so as you can see already out into the northwest US here, we already have some snow falling into these areas from this system that is moving in, and you just have basically almost a kind of atmospheric river into these areas where you're having moisture continue to sort of flood into these areas, you could say. And then if we go back here, continue the run here. Again, this is into tomorrow on Wednesday morning. You still have snow into these areas by tomorrow midday. Heavy snow for some areas, especially tonight into tomorrow morning. And that'll start to kind of weaken throughout the day just a little bit, but still in the higher elevations you could definitely see some heavy snow for sure by tomorrow. And then as we get into tomorrow night and Thursday morning, we have this snow band all the way up here into Canada, into the north central US as well, and into portions of the Great Lakes region. And further to the south here, we actually have a mix of kind of freezing rain and sleet into some of these areas as we get into, again, late tomorrow night on Wednesday into Thursday morning on the 6th. And again, continuing on the run here, that mix starts to really get into Pennsylvania, northern Ohio, even into Maryland, Virginia here, New York State as well, by again Thursday morning. And still continuing that on there, it looks like it is going to be looks like it'll be at least light to moderate snow for quite a bit of the northeast. And again, some of these areas could actually switch from snow to rain by Thursday night into Friday. And then you just have this pretty strong low pressure way up here into Canada moving on out to the east. And then again by 12Z, or excuse me, not 12Z, but yeah, 12Z is basically the morning of Friday. You have some rain here down into portions of the southeast, and you have most of that snow moving on out to the east. But again, you could see some lake effect snow kind of kick start into these areas from that system, finally moving on out to the east there. And then if we head back out here to the western US, and you have our other system finally moving in by Friday morning here. And again, continuing on the run here on the 0Z GFS weather model, you could have some light to moderate snow, even some heavy snow falling into the northwestern US by Friday night into early on Saturday. And there, as you can see, our 999 low pressure is right there, kind of situated over southeast Wyoming. And again, that will continue on to the east, and you have some snow moving out here into the north central US, some light to moderate snow, rain finally mixing in here into portions of the Ohio Valley, and a mix of wintry precipitation is probably expected into these areas by Saturday. And again, continuing that on, you have some light to moderate snow, even some heavy snow to these areas into the Great Lakes, the portions of the Midwest, and then a pretty, not significant, but just a quick hitting ice event for portions of the kind of Great Lakes region, mainly into the northern Ohio Valley, into Pennsylvania, even New York State as well, Ohio, Indiana, Illinois as well, and even into New Jersey there by Saturday night into Sunday. And you still have this light to moderate snow band associated with this kind of weak low pressure moving on out to the east here, and again, places into the northeast could see some snow for sure by Sunday morning, and that'll finally begin to move out by Sunday evening, and should be about fully out of the continental United States by at least late Sunday night into early on Monday. And then finally, again, here is our other system moving in by Monday morning into these areas right here, and you have this band of rain and some snow and sleet and ice here into Kentucky, West Virginia, northern North Carolina as well. And then continuing that on here by 18Z Monday, which is midday Monday, you still have this kind of a I would say light to moderate snow band here into Virginia, West Virginia, and we're just going to have to get a little bit closer to this event where we can finally pinpoint some of these smaller details, because this is going to change, even though it is only really less than a week out. This is still has changed quite a bit, and we'll show some other models in just a second. But then you could have kind of this initial system right here, this initial piece of energy finally move on out to the east, and again you'll have some wintry a wintry mix there, and maybe some snow associated with that into maybe Maryland, Delaware, even into New Jersey as well by maybe Monday evening or Monday night. And then we finally get our kind of main system moving in here, and you have your moisture moving in from the south, and you have this snow band right here and some heavy snow in these areas, but mostly light to moderate snow by Tuesday morning is showing up on the 0Z GFS. And then continuing that on to the east, there you have this pretty heavy snow band actually moving into Virginia, West Virginia, Kentucky, Ohio, southern Pennsylvania, Maryland, Delaware, New Jersey as well. And that would last throughout quite a bit of the day on Tuesday, and then finally by Tuesday night, and then early on Wednesday that is moved out. And then again we could see maybe another piece of energy move in here and impact portions of the southeast, and whether that'll have wintry precipitation in that, we'll have to figure that out closer to the event. But still, the pattern is going to be quite active as we get into next week, because we're just going to have basically pieces of energy just moving in like crazy, especially from the south as we get really towards the middle of next week and the second half of next week. I think it could become quite active with kind of your active southern jet right there moving those systems in. And real quick, we'll look at some other models just to compare kind of next week's look, because we're pretty certain about these systems this weekend for the basically north central US, Great Lakes region into the Ohio Valley into the northeast. We're pretty certain about kind of where that system will go as far as timing, and again where that system would fall in the US. But we'll go ahead and look at the European weather model here. That we'll look at the 12Z, because it does go out a little bit further than the 18Z run, and so it has that system actually a little bit farther to the north, and has a kind of light to moderate snow band here into the Ohio Valley, again farther to the north, and it actually gets some pretty heavy snow into portions of the mid-Atlantic and again Ohio Valley by Tuesday night into Wednesday morning. And then by again early on Wednesday you have some pretty heavy snowfall here into portions of the northeast, into the mid-Atlantic, even southern New England, but that would mostly be a rain event really. I would say definitely Tennessee points south for the most part, but some of the higher elevations of the Appalachians could see a wintry mix from that for sure, especially on the GFS. But the European does not show much of a wintry mix, which is a good thing for sure. And then after that, again, it's just kind of up in the air at this point, because the European again does show a little bit of a system later next week, but it is just getting too far out to get a good look at that. And then finally we'll look at the European AI model, and just from the past couple of days, the European AI model has been pretty consistent for the most part, considering the European and GFS weather models. And if it is able to kind of pinpoint these upcoming systems pretty as accurately as it's been showing, then it'll definitely be a model we'll have to start using more in the future, because I haven't really been paying as much attention as to to the system up here in the northeast for this weekend because it is closer in the range, and obviously it's going to be a little bit more accurate. But for the second system here, or third system I should say, for next week, early portion of next week, it has been pretty consistent with the placement of the low pressure. So if we again go back here, so before I start to break this down a little bit here, as you can notice, it is only showing green here, and that is the average precipitation rate just in the green colors, and it'll show yellow and red colors as well, and pink depending on how heavy the precipitation is, and it will again not show the blue and purple colors that the other models show, showing the wintry precipitation. So we'll look at temperatures here, and we'll actually get a little bit closer to this for the eastern US. And so it has that low pressure moving in, and has that finally kind of getting started by early Tuesday, late Monday night for the south central US. And if we look at temperatures here, it has some kind of spotty freezing temperatures in some of these areas. So any areas really to the north of that would probably see snow. Especially with this little bit of energy up here into the north central US, into the kind of Midwest there. And then by midday Tuesday, you have that energy moving on to the east still, and you could have some cold air kind of trapped here into the Appalachians here. And this is what you call cold air damming, where you have the cold air kind of just basically trapped into these areas, and especially into the higher elevations for sure. And so you continue that on, and you have again mostly freezing temperatures, into these areas into the mid-Atlantic and kind of up the spine of the Appalachians, where you could see maybe I would say a wintry mix, but especially up here into the mid-Atlantic and into Pennsylvania, Ohio, you could definitely see some snow from that system because of the well cold enough temperatures from that as well, with that cold air just lingering around. And you have pretty cold air well out here to the west of that, so that would kind of funnel in with that system as well. So again, we'll just have to wait and see how the system continues to look as we get into this weekend, and I would say by this weekend we'll have a lot better idea of what we'll be dealing with next week. So finally, we'll just be quickly looking at our overall pattern and what is driving these systems to move in the way they're moving in. And so first here, if we start out with, we'll just be looking at the EPS ensembles here, and we're looking at the geopotential height, and the red colors are areas of higher pressure, which is ridging, and areas of lower pressure are shown in that blue color, well up here into Canada, and then well out here to the west. And so if we continue this on here, we're going to have ridging across most of the US by, again, midweek tomorrow. And for pretty much most of the latter part of the week, we're going to have ridging basically into the central US and kind of the southern tier of the US here. And troughing is going to be moving into the northwestern US, and then again with our system later this week into the northeastern US, and you'll have some cold air for sure moving into these areas up into the northeast and the northwestern US, with mostly above average temperatures expected into the central and eastern US for the most part. And then as we get into this weekend, you again, as we were looking at earlier, you have those systems moving in from the kind of northwestern US, and then kind of sliding down here into the north central US and northeastern US. And again, you have ridging into most of the south central US and southeast for the most part. And then you finally have that low pressure, that the troughing showing up for early next week, and that'll be our system that could move in and deliver some winter weather again for areas farther to the south. And then you have some troughing that tries to set up into the western US and ridging out here to the east by sometime maybe later next week. And then after that, the details get a little fuzzy there just because it is pretty far out. But it looks like originally will probably build back here into the eastern U.S. by late next week, and you'll have systems kind of riding up here into the central U.S. or staying mostly out here into the western U.S. And if we look at temperature anomalies here just real quick, you can see the above average temperatures kind of flexing here into the central U.S. and eastern U.S. by later this week, by Thursday. Then by Friday, it kind of gets beat down here into a little bit into the eastern U.S. And then again, the other system moves in later this week, or excuse me, not later this week, into this weekend. And those temperatures are beat down a little bit, and you have some well below average temperatures here into the north central U.S. and northwestern U.S. with maybe slightly below average temperatures into the central U.S. But for the most part, above average temperatures, will dominate the kind of southeastern part of the country, at least for the next several days. And then as we get into next week, again, it is just kind of up in the air at this point, and we'll have to get closer to that before we dive into the finer details. But cold air just going to be lingering around here into the north central U.S. for sure, at least for the next several days, especially out here into the northwestern U.S. as well. And so cold air will definitely be available here for any systems that kind of ride up into the central and maybe even eastern U.S. But again, we'll dive deeper into the systems next week, probably by this weekend for sure. So that'll be it for tonight's update. I appreciate all y'all watching. And again, I'll probably try to have another video out maybe later this week. And if not, I'll have one out this weekend for sure. Again, I appreciate all y'all watching. And I hope y'all have a great rest of y'all's Tuesday night and a great Wednesday.